Welcome back to the show.
Welcome back to the show.
And now, your hosts of the Card Subject to Change podcast, the For Frequency's Sake Tag Team Champions of the World, the Wizard CZ, and never wrong, Nick Bull.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back once again. Welcome, one and all, to the podcast by the fan for the fan. Of course, I am talking about the Card Subject to Change podcast. Welcome in. Welcome aboard. So happy you're here with us. Let us know how you found us, whether it was through word of mouth or stumbled across us on the line. Anyways, we want to know how you found us. But regardless of how you found us or regardless of how you got here, we're so glad you're here. I am your host, Never Wrong, Nick Bull, and I would be remiss if I did not introduce my co-partner. We are co-champs of the For Frequency's Sake Network. We are the longest running tag champs, I think, in For Frequency Network history. I think we'll just go with that as well. He is the one, he is the only, he is the Wizard CZ. Wiz, how you doing?
Hey, I am a little tired, but I'm doing good. It's been a good weekend. And of course, as we go into the show, we've got to mention of our sponsors here. We are powered by Lopez Pizza, built by Durham Remodeling, colored by Ryan Allison Tattoo, and protected by Jared Zook of Country Financial. So thank you to our great sponsors. Nick, before we get into the heart and soul of things, I gotta give a shout out to your oldest. Congratulations on winning that first round match, that first round game in the playoffs here. I'm sure he was ecstatic.
Yeah, it was a big day in the family yesterday. My oldest is a senior, and we're in the high school football playoffs now. So the next time they lose will be his last high school football game. So it's emotional time, and we're excited right now. We won our first round matchup yesterday, 22-8. They go on the road next week for second round action. So we're just kind of taking it 1 week at a time here and just trying to get another week to play. And we got that done yesterday. So, yeah, you said a little tired, and I echo the sentiments, being at a football game and being outside all day yesterday. And then with that time change, the time change in the fall always messes with this guy right here. I mean, it takes me, I bet it's going to take me about a week to acclimate myself to the time change and getting used to the fact that it's getting darker earlier now. And it takes a toll on me ever since I've gotten older. And when I mean older, I mean I've got a 4 at the front of my age, not at the end, the 4 and not only a 4 at the beginning, but a 4 at the end, and it messes with my body. So I really dread this kind of time of year where it's fall and we're falling back. Everybody's like, "Yay, we get the extra hour sleep," which was great. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, it's going to take me about a week to get used to this.
I understand that. The time change doesn't affect me that much, especially in the fall. It's the one in the spring that hits me when we lose that hour instead of gaining an hour. That one really messes me up. But no,
you're probably tired because you had a big night last night. You went to an indie show here right in our backyard. The folks at SCW Pro held a show called The Harvest over at the Bluegrass Community Center, and the one and the only, the Wizard CZ, was in attendance. Why don't you tell us about it, Wiz?
So it was a really good show. I'm glad I was able to go. It's the first SCW show I've been to in at least 2 months. Not for lack of trying, just life happens. People get busy. Always love going out, seeing our friends of the podcast, former guests, Cornboy. Of course, our collaborator, JT Energy, always love seeing him. The only one I didn't enjoy seeing was Mark Storm, because he gave me a big finger as I was waiting in line. So, Mark, I'm going to give that right back to you, buddy.
Man, what'd you do to piss off Mark Storm?
I probably talked bad about his boy John Bonhart. I don't know, maybe not. No, but in all seriousness, Mark, yeah, it was great seeing you, great seeing everybody, friendly faces all around, and I think other than the matches, there were some decent matches, but other than the matches, it was enjoyable seeing a gorilla in the ring. Not a live gorilla. It was someone wearing a gorilla suit, but came out.
Are you sure?
Pretty sure. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
And I have it on good authority because he was not in attendance, but I have it on good authority that Stevie Mo was in the gorilla suit because he was trying to take out his comedic competition in Joe Carey. I'm just saying. I have it on good authority. That is what I've heard.
Yeah, Stevie Mo and the gorilla have not been seen in the same place together. So it leads one to believe that the gorilla could be Stevie Mo. We're thinking here at Card Subject to Change, the gorilla was Stevie Mo, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Also last night, I wanted to bring this to your attention and the show's attention. A friend of the show, he's a former guest of the show, but he's definitely a friend of the show. He's not only a friend of our show, but he's also a friend of independent wrestling. He's got a wonderful gift. And he loves to share it with the wrestling world. And that's Clint Dye from Tag Team Photography. Was at a show last night. From the looks of it, I think it was an absolute pro wrestling show up in Waterloo. Our friends up in APW had a show in Waterloo last night. And our friend Clint Dye from Tag Team Photography was there and was in the corner shooting through the ropes and up, trying to get someone pulling off what is the lead up to a sliced bread number 2. When this person this wrestler in the ring raised their foot, it connected with Clint's camera, and Clint, being the photographer that he is, has his eye up to the camera, and boom, right there. Clint gets busted open hard way, as they say, Wiz. No blade job there from Clint. He got busted open hard way. And continued to shoot the rest of the show. The show goes on, but a prop here to shout out, a tip of the hat to Clint Dye for taking some bumps last night, being the ringside photographer up at Absolute Pro Wrestling last night. He got busted open hard way, and the show goes on, man. We're proud of Clint. We love his stuff, and we love seeing his pics.
Absolutely.
I liken it to going to the newsstand back in the day and seeing the different wrestling magazines. When he posts his pictures from the event, I get the whole story. I can kind of figure out what happened, and does a great job. So props, kudos to you, Clint Dye, for taking the bump, and hopefully you're feeling better. Hopefully the headache went away, and you got a good story to go with the picture. So
absolutely. And Clint, of course, the premier photographer here in the state of Iowa, where I am, for independent wrestling and others. He goes to more than Iowa, but been a part of SCW. He's been a part of Absolute Pro, Madhouse Wrestling. He's just all over the map, taking fantastic photographs. So Clint, we appreciate your going into the trenches and taking one for the team while you got that camera up to your eye, my friend.
So should we get back on business here for why we're here? The Wiz, this is episode 155, the champions of Crown Jewel. Should we start talking Crown Jewel? Where do you want to begin? What is your lead into this? You have any opening thoughts about this before we start breaking down the show?
Well, we talked a little bit about this off air. This was supposed to have another match, but that match didn't happen. It was supposed to be Rhea Ripley taking on Raquel Rodriguez. Rhea Ripley obviously written out of the storyline on NXT by getting a parking lot beating from Liv and Raquel, but in reality, she did suffer an orbital bone injury, so she is out. I have not heard how long she is out, but speedy recovery to Rhea Ripley. You and I talked before the show, before the event, I should say, as to what's going to lead this off and what's going to be the main event. I know what we both felt should have been the main event, and I'm glad that it was. They booked it the right way, in my opinion. Now, I don't know if I would have had the bloodline leading the show necessarily, but that's where I think we should just start right at the beginning.
Okay.
Have that talk about the bloodline. Obviously, you've got tensions high between Solo and his new bloodline and the original tribal chief and the old school, the original, the OG bloodline, if you will.
We're not, are we to the point where it's like NWO Wolfpack and NWO Hollywood on the bloodlines here? Do we need to come up with, is it new bloodline and the original bloodline, or is that how we're going to, or do you think this progresses from here?
I think it progresses from here.
Okay.
I can see the comparisons. I see exactly what you're saying, because it does feel like very similar to, are you NWO Hollywood or are you NWO Wolfpack?
Right. It does.
It says another win for the good guys.
I tend to believe they're going to learn from the past and not go down that road.
Right.
Right. We don't want that happening again.
I hope so.
But go ahead. I don't want to take away. I was just trumping in with a joke there.
Well, no, actually, I want to hear what you had to thought. You texted me. You were busy with your oldest game yesterday, so you watched this on delay earlier today, and you texted me before we went on. As you were watching it, you had something you really wanted to talk about, and it was right at the start.
Did you find it odd that Roman came out before Jay?
Yes, very much so.
I did, until Jay's entrance happened, and then I knew exactly why Jay came out second. The crowd was singing Jay's music, totally into the interactive entrance that Jey Uso has become to start up and do, and he's kind of like the organic, wrestler. He comes out through the crowd now. Crowd loves it. I mean, he's not the first wrestler to ever come out through the crowd, but first wrestler in a while in the WWE to come out through the crowd type of deal. So
if I can pause that,
when it's happening, I'm like, dude, Roman Reigns is the biggest name in this match. He needs to come out last. And then I'm like, and then I paused and I'm like, yeah, but I understand why they had Jay come out second.
Oh, I agree. It's an interesting dynamic. And I want to pause and back up a little bit. We've got our good friend Clint Dye joining us. Clint, rewind a little bit when you get a chance. We popped up some pics. We gave you some props. Thank you very much. And Heather asking Clint how the eye is, and of course he's saying it's all good. So good job. That's good to hear, Clint. We're happy that happy you're doing well, and the eye's not going to bother you too much.
Yeet. Okay, so we're back to talking about this match. Roman comes out first with Jimmy in tow. Then Jay comes out. I was excited to see this match, and then I wasn't. And here's why. I thought, and maybe this is gonna be the underlying tone in my commentary and my thoughts all night, but I just did not feel it with this premium live event. I just didn't feel the build. They didn't get me on the build. I wasn't on board with the build. I just didn't really like it. I mean, yes, I was looking forward to Gunther and Cody. Don't get me wrong. I was looking forward to that. This match I was looking forward to, but then again, I wasn't, because we're going to get it at War Games, right? I mean, like, I understand they're doing it to further storylines in that matter, and we get to that here in a second with what happens after the match. But I kind of really didn't care for this match as we got closer to the show, because we're going to have War Games. So regardless of what happens here, these teams are going to be in War Games, right, CZ? I'm not stupid or outlandish in thinking that. That's what we're led to believe, is they're going to be in War Games.
That would be where my thought process goes, for sure.
I just whatever happened today happened, and then I'll get it at War Games. That's kind of what my thinking was.
And I want to kind of capitalize on that. This you say you weren't into this match. I wasn't into the build for this entire pay-per-view.
Exactly. One or two matches I was looking forward to. The rest I was kind of like, I didn't feel it. But there was stuff I liked in the show, and we'll talk about it for sure. But I just didn't feel it.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that ending. Obviously, Solo getting the pin on Roman Reigns, the biggest star of this current generation, in my opinion, is huge for Solo. And it was a clean pin. So that's got to bolster him quite a bit. And then, of course, it's the bloodline. You have to have the shenanigans afterwards. I don't know.
Well, I personally was interested in the shenanigans afterwards after seeing the ending to Monday Night Raw, where Jimmy and Jay are kind of spying on a conversation Sammy is having with Solo Sikoa. I'm like, okay, I'm intrigued. I want to see where this goes. So having Sammy appear there at the end, I could have told you bank on a Sammy appearance. If there was something to bet a Sammy appearance. He's the most popular star over in Saudi. He didn't have a match or an appearance advertised on the card. I almost could have surely told you he was going to get involved at some point in this match. After the match is fine. After the match, shenanigans. And we have Sammy come out. Sammy has the stare down with the new bloodline of Solo, Jacob Fatu, and the tag team champions of Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa.
Former tag team champions.
That's right, former champs. The Motor City Machine Guns are the current champs. My bad. They're in the ring. Solo's, holding the open arms to Sammy. Sammy goes in, and I liked this. He went in for the hug, but then hit him with the exploder suplex. And I liked that move. It was very fluid.
Yes.
It didn't look cheesy, forced or anything. It was very smooth how they did it. Went for the hug, boom, grabbed him, threw him over the head. Sammy gets beat down until Roman and Jimmy and Jay can help him, assist him. They got Solo dead to rights in the middle of the ring. Sammy's going for a haluva kick. Solo moves and knocks down Roman Reigns. So now we have more drama on top of the unknown drama that we had when Sammy comes into the ring. So, yes, I understand we had this match to further the storyline, and people realize that they're seeing that. They're saying that in the comments here on our chat on here on Card Subject to Change podcast. It was definitely an advancement storyline. It's definitely to introduce Sammy into the mix. War Games is around the corner. It looks like they're going to be doing the 4-on-4 thing, CZ. I don't think they're doing the 5-on-5 thing. Has WWE leaned towards the 4-on-4 thing?
Yes, that's been their leaning, and okay. I think that's where it's going to go.
So you're going to have, more than likely, Sammy and Roman make up. That could be an underlying theme for the War Games match. Do they fully trust each other? There's going to be a moment in that match where it's just them two, and they're going to have their moments. That's going to be kind of special. But like I said, this match was nothing extraordinary, nothing great, like memorable to go back and watch about for years happened in this match. But the match took place to further the story to get us next month at War Games.
Oh, absolutely.
Not next month, later this month, excuse me. It's a few weeks away.
Yeah, just a few weeks away. Now,
what about you? You tell me what you thought about this match before we proceed.
Yeah, the match was very not memorable. Very much a forgettable match. And the end, like you said, it's just to further storylines. Here's where my problem lies. You have the old trope that is in my opinion, way overused of can they coexist? It's bad enough when they use it with two people who are in a singles match with one another. Now you've got four people who don't necessarily trust each other. It's just going to create chaos, and I'm not a fan. I'm not a big fan nowadays of the can they coexist storyline. It's old, like I said, and obviously there's going to be that big makeup moment. You'll see it probably inside the War Games cage, but it needs to be retired for a while. Maybe not permanently, but put it to the wayside for a while because it's tired.
Fair enough. That's a hot take from the Wiz CD right there.
I mean, yeah, I love that they're bringing Sammy back into the mix. I think he's the most over. He was the most over member of the bloodline for a long time. Sammy Uso, as they say, but it just that trope is just old, and I'm tired of it. I want to see it go away for a while.
Yeah, and I know you're tired of it, but it's going to proceed this storyline. We got to see what happens now at War Games, but that's where we stand. Some indecision there between Roman and Sammy. Will it hurt the team at War Games? We shall see. The unformulated team that we're forming in our heads right now. We'll see how that affects them coming up.
And of course, the outline question. Thank you to our friend Heather in the comments for reminding us on this. Where does The Rock lie? Where does The Rock stand in all of this? Because he is a part of this storyline, whether you like it or not.
I don't know if we see The Rock or anything involved with him now, maybe until the Royal Rumble.
Really? You don't think
I don't think he's needed. I don't think he's needed at War Games. I don't think he's needed there. I think the match with the participants and the rivalry that we have between the two teams already is big enough. I don't think they need The Rock for it. They may need him at the Royal Rumble for something. That's just my line of thinking. I could be wrong. Hit us up on the socials, Facebook, Twitter. Hit us up. You know, when's The Rock return and where does he fit in all this? Hit us up on socials. We want to hear from you guys. I don't think he's at War Game. That's just me. I think he doesn't show up till Royal Rumble. But hey, I want to hear your opinion. What do you think, CZ?
I can agree with that. I don't think he's going to show up at War Games. I think that match is enough as it is. There's already too much going into that, and I say too much, and not in a bad way. There's already a lot of spinning plates going into War Games, so we don't need The Rock yet. My question to you as we wrap up talking about this particular match, when do we get the final blow-off for the Ulafala between Roman and Solo? Is that all the way at WrestleMania? Did they draw it out that long, or do they have it?
I think maybe that happens at Royal Rumble, and then that's when you get The Rock back.
Okay.
Maybe Roman has that slight, Roman eventually gets it back and has that couple moments of victory before The Rock's music hits, and then we have a monumental stare down between Rock and Roman. And now that, who's to say, maybe Rock wins the Rumble and goes on to challenge Cody. I don't know, but I think The Rock will show up and be a part of Royal Rumble in some capacity. I
can agree with that. And listen to us, we're already booking the road to WrestleMania, and it's only November of 2024. We've got a long way to go, folks.
I know. It's only the first match of this card. We got to keep this thing rolling here.
Yeah, let's keep moving. We're getting caught up with this match. Honestly, there's not a lot that I want to talk about on this pay-per-view. There are a few things.
Okay.
I definitely want to touch on my hot take for the women's tag team title match. Fatal 4-Ways.
Governor, the floor is yours.
A fatal 4-way match needs to have 4 people in the ring or 4 people in contention at the same time. This one-on-one, tag anyone you feel like bullshit is ridiculous. I think it's stupid. I think it takes away from what a fatal 4-way is supposed to be. I absolutely hated it. It is god-awful. I'm just saying. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Nick. What are your thoughts?
No, I'm just laughing. I don't know if I should say it or not. I'm like, I want to bring up the text I sent you last night when you're telling me about this, and I'm like, why didn't you say this on the kick out a couple weeks ago? No, I agree with you. I agree. I know why they do it. They do it to get the people on the card. I get it, but it's not a 4-way unless there's 4 people in the ring at one time or in contention, men or women. It's just not. At that point, I'm tuned out because I'm pissed at the rule. Like, no, there shouldn't be 2 and there should be 4. I don't even really need to talk about this match, I don't think.
I mean, the only other thing I will say, shout out to Chelsea Green for taking every finisher in the book, every move in the book.
She is so good in her role. She has found her niche and she now shines. She does. She's a highlight of each show she's on. You're tuning in to see how she's going to get egg on her face, and she's great at it. And props to her. Props to her for kind of reinventing herself and finding a way, finding her own niche type of deal. But yeah, you're absolutely right, dude. She's great.
Yeah, and even being a comedic wrestler, comic relief for the show, she's brilliant. She does her job well, and you want to see how she's going to get destroyed or how she's going to get embarrassed week in and week out.
Yep, you absolutely do. You absolutely do. Yep.
Moving on from that, of course, we have our hometown hero, so to speak, Mr. Seth frickin' Rollins taking on Big Bronson Reed. Match starts out outside the ring, and this is the first and not the last time this will happen during the show. We'll get to that in a little bit. I want to know, Nick, was this necessary to have on a premium live event? Could this have been on a Monday Night Raw?
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to talk about all the matches on the card, that you look at the card before the show and you're like, what match could I do without? Maybe the Fatal 4-Way tag match because of the stupid stipulation we just previously explained. But this match, and they're trying to want us to watch this feud. I feel, they've done the big backstage injury angle, land into a car, all that stuff. We've seen that with this. They want to make Bronson Reed a monster, so why not put him up against one of the more polarizing personas on the Raw roster? Audience loves him. We want to build Reed as a monster. So Reed's getting the rub here.
Big time.
With Rollins in a high-profile feud, and he gets some cred off the bat by putting Rollins on the shelf for a few weeks, and I think he gets some cred for the last time they fought backstage. Like, he was the one still standing at the end of the night, talking about Reed here while Rollins was a mess, getting attended to by the medics and the medical staff. So,
and Nick is having some internet issues. It looks like he dropped out. I'm sure he'll be back shortly. But to play off of what Nick said, they're building Bronson Reed to be this all-out monster, and I don't think they're doing a bad job. I mean, looking at this match, it took 3 stomps, one of which was coming off of the top rope to down Bronson Reed, to take him out. And then within minutes of the match being over, not even within about a minute and a half of the match being over, he is back up on his feet, staring down Rollins, and Rollins is just shouting back, you want to come at it again, you're going to get more of the same. You're going to get more of the same, so come at me. I really like that they're making Bronson Reed a big-time player. I think that's a good thing, and I'm excited to see what more he can do and where they go with him from here on out. But
welcome back to the show.
Welcome back to the show.
Dude, my tech must have been so hot. I got nuclear interruption on my feed, and I got booted off. So,
yeah, man.
Go back. Sorry to interrupt you. Go back to what you were saying.
I was just saying that I like the build that they're giving Bronson Reed. I don't think it's bad. They're doing a good job of making him into a monster. While you were out, I commented that it took 3 stomps, one of which came off the top rope for Seth Rollins to win. And then after the match, it's a minute and a half, if even that. Bronson Reed is back on his feet staring down Seth Rollins as he goes back up the aisle.
So you have a problem with the selling of the stomps or the number of the stomps?
I don't have a problem with any of it. I think it's a great build for Bronson. I think it makes Bronson look so much stronger because he's not overselling the stomps. He's getting right back up.
Do you so you don't equate multiple stomps like you do multiple crossroads?
I don't.
Okay.
And not in this situation.
I just want to clarify. I just wanted to clarify.
Now, do I think we need multiple stomps every match for Seth Rollins to win? No, it's excessive. But the fact that they are making Bronson Reed to be this huge monster, this big behemoth of a character who is hard to take down, I think in this case it added to the story, especially after the top rope stomp, and he is up within a minute and a half of taking that stomp, and Seth.
So you're saying this isn't over. This is kind of the first part of it, and we're going to see Bronson's revenge maybe next, or is this it for Bronson and this run with Seth? Are we done with it?
I don't know that we're done with it. It depends on where Braun Strowman plays into the mix and when he'll be back.
Okay, what do you want to see? Do you want this to continue, or do you want this to end right now? I know I'd like to see it continue myself because Bronson Reed is a big enough guy who can move around. He's believable. Appears to be a safe worker. A guy they are investing time in here. I'm willing to sit back and give them some time with him. I'd rather see that than them just not giving any more time after this.
Yeah.
Pretty much the Shinsuke Nakamura treatment where you're featured in a high-profile match for a couple months and then boom, you're gone. They have nothing for you. So I'm glad they got something for him. I hope that this is not done with Rollins. What about you? You got anything to add to this?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. I want to see more. I want to see Bronson move up on the card. He's definitely cementing himself in the process of cementing himself as a main event player, and I love it. I'm excited to see where this goes. That being said, Nick, I think it's time we need to pay some dues to our brethren on the For Frequency's Sake podcast network.
Yes,
so let's take a short break.
We went a little long here on the first segment. I disappeared, but I reappeared. I'm back. Yes, we're going to take a break here, pay some dues to our sponsors and our brethren on the podcast network along with us. Stick with us. On the other side, we will get to the aforementioned moment of focus with the one, the only JTMG. Stay with us. We'll be right back on the other side.
For Frequency's Sake has you covered on all things sports. From the squared circle to the hardwood and the gridiron to the speedway, we've got something for everyone. Walk down the aisle with the boys from Card Subject to Change every Sunday as they take a deep dive into everything pro wrestling. Head on over to the hardwood with Doug Green and Watching the W each week for all the news from the WNBA. Want more insight from Pit Row? Check out the Green, White, and Checkered podcast where they give their insight on everything happening on and off the track. Need your gambling fix? We've got you there. Dan Hancock and Gotham Gambling will help you cover the spread with the Golden Ticket Show. Football more your style? Explore the waters of NFL DFS with DFS Deep Dive with Brian Craighead and Jordan Kernan each week. More into the science portion of the game? The Professor John Bush and Dennis Michelson take you into their science lab and dissect your week in the data lab. Need to know who to start last minute? The network's flagship show, For Fantasy's Sake, is here in a pinch. The fellas come to you live every football Sunday from 10 to 11:30 Central with the week's best DFS, gambling, and lineup advice. And wrap up your Sundays with Joe Winkle and Nick Brinks as they come to you live with educated ignorance looking at all the day's action. Not enough football on Sunday? Not a problem. Kick your feet up at lunch on Monday and slip into the football lounge with Mark and Dan while they look at the week that was in news, notes, and more. For frequency's sake, you know what we mean.
Welcome back to the show.
Welcome back. My third or fourth welcome back to the show this episode. But
we're just
so glad
welcoming
you're here
you
with
back
us.
all the time, Nick. Welcome and welcome and welcome back.
We're glad you're with us here on the Card Subject to Change podcast once again. We are powered by Lopez Pizza, built by Durham Remodeling, colored by Ryan Allison Tattoo, and protected, of course, by Jared Zook over there at Country Financial, the folks at Country Financial. So glad you're with us. I wanted to say that before you said what you needed to say, Stevie.
I appreciate that. And of course, we are the podcast by the fans for the fans. And we're going to toss things over to our good friend and collaborator, one JT Energy, the feline phenom. And he's going to give us a moment of focus.
Welcome to a moment of focus with the feline phenom, JT Energy. And today, the Card Subject to Change podcast, they're focusing on WWE Crown Jewel 2024. And we are going to focus on one thing, and that is going farther. Because sometimes you need to go farther than you usually go to find out what's possible. WWE took them all the way across the world, and sometimes we need to go a little farther than what we usually do to see what's possible in our everyday lives. So don't cut yourself short. Go a little farther. This has been a moment of focus with the feline phenom, JT Energy.
Whoa.
Yeah,
What was that at the end of that segment?
I wanted to get your reaction before I said anything. Our friend JT Energy is on a mission, especially after last night, to not only take the QC Cup from Rip Studwell, but to scratch his eyes out.
Okay, I know you probably can't go back and pause the video. We have got to get a still of that image and throw it up on our socials. What was that? Was that it looked like a picture of Rip Studwell with like his eye like taken out.
His eye was taken out. His head was on a platter.
Okay. It flashed so quick, I kind of caught myself off guard. Like, you got to pay attention to JT's thing, and I was, but that totally swerved me, and I can't even tell you now what JT told me.
And I just want to send out apologies to Rip Studwell. JT Energy is his own man. He does his own thing. He is only with us as a segment. His opinions are not necessarily that of Card Subject to Change. Right. We definitely don't want to see your eyes scratched out, but at the same time, JT is a happy part of our family, so we got to let him have his platform. I'll say this: if you are listening or watching after the fact or live with us, Ripped, definitely send something over if you want to say something back to our good friend JT Energy.
For sure. Fair platform here for both of you, but definitely when this show gets put up on wherever you download your podcast from, CZ, I'm going to go back and actually I'm going to go over to YouTube and go back and see this clip again. That totally threw me, but We got to get back here to Crown Jewel while the clock is running.
We do. The clock is running. We've talked for quite a while on the first part of the show, and there's still four-ish more matches to go. Let's focus in on the next match on the card, and that is the Women's Crown Jewel Championship, champion versus champion match. Nick, I want your initial thoughts. Well, first of all, I want your initial thoughts on the Crown Jewel Championships, and then I want your initial thoughts on the match.
The Crown Jewel Championships are big and gaudy, but I kind of like them because they're big and gaudy and wrestling belts. Kind of bummed to hear that they're staying in Saudi, and that the wrestlers are going to get like a ring to wear, like MJF wears a ring in AEW. So I don't know. I mean, it's like Braun Strowman's green Greatest Royal Rumble belt, but we're not here to talk about quote unquote useless titles, or really not main titles. But I thought the belt was gorgeous. Both the men's and the women's belt was gorgeous. I like the idea. I mean, it was a few years back, I don't have to say, but like at Survivor Series, it was brand versus brand, right? Well, here we had brand versus brand in the men's and the women's, for in the big championship matches. So I kind of liked that aspect of it. I didn't mind this idea of having the champion versus the champion. I just don't know if I'm all in on the title belt idea. Match was what I expected. I totally expected Tiffany Stratton. God bless her. Tiffy time here. Despite the fact that the clocks fell back this weekend, we still run on Tiffy time here. Just wanted to clear that up. I figured she would run in and tease the captain. She did. I figured there would be shenanigans at ringside with Dominic and Raquel. And there were. But she needed that because there's such a size discrepancy between Nia Jax and Liv Morgan. So you kind of needed that extra touch of the outside interference to make this thing kind of get its way on wheels and be able to be believable, in my opinion.
I can agree with that. And honestly, I'm on the fence as to whether this could have gone either way for me. I really did not care who won this, who lost this. Not discriminating against or not poo-pooing on either women in this match. I just the outcome didn't matter to me. Both of them deserve it. Whoever walked away with that Crown Jewel championship was well deserved. But I also thought the winner of this match was going to dictate the winner of the men's match. And here's what I mean.
Okay. I'm all ears.
Look at the King of the Ring. Similar circumstances. You have a Raw and a SmackDown competitor in both the men's and the women's match. On the women's side, Nia Jax won the King of the Ring tournament from SmackDown. On the men's side, Gunther won the King of the Ring on the Raw side. So when I saw Liv Morgan winning this match, I thought it was a foregone conclusion that Cody was going to win the men's match. We'll get to that. But
okay.
it seems like they try to do balanced booking is the best term I have for it. What do you think?
Do we need to change your gimmick name to the Code Breaker? You're sitting over here deciphering codes, and I'm sitting here in my head putting it together like, yeah, I think he's right. No, you're onto something there, and you're probably right. Giving Liv the win gives her some more heat because she had the help from Dom and from Raquel. She had the distraction from Tiffany as well to help. I think Liv needed it a little more than what Nia did. Here's why. Nia, the story to be told is Nia and Tiffy, right? So Nia losing this match, in my opinion, doesn't mean anything. It's no discredit to her. I think it's to give Liv a little rub as she now is more evil, on a winning streak, hotter than ever, not only with Dom on her side and the rest of Judgment Day, but with Raquel Rodriguez. She's unstoppable, so you got to give her that rub. So I don't think Nia losing here hurts her at all, in my opinion. Wiz, what about you?
I agree. I don't disagree. I think Liv needed the boost more than Nia did. And like you said, the story is Nia and Tiffany. My question for you is, what is next for Liv Morgan with Rhea Ripley on the shelf?
Yeah, someone's going to have to move up, and I'm not sure. I can't sit here and tell you who I think it's going to be on Raw that's going to move up. But this is going to make her more hateable. Running around the Judgment Day, interfering on matches. She's going to be able to do that for a while until Rhea comes back and is inserted into the storyline, or until they can find somebody to plug in there. I don't know. Who do you think goes in that role? Who do they put in that role? Or what are they going to do with, are they going to wait till Rhea gets back from rehabbing this orbital bone injury?
And maybe that's what they do. Maybe they wait for Rhea to get back, and maybe that's your women's war game match, is somehow Liv with other members of the Raw roster against her, Liv, Raquel, and a couple of other ladies against the faces on Raw. Maybe not, but I can see that being a thing. Put her championship defenses on hold until we get past War Games.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. When you just said the women's war game match, we sat there and pretty much booked the men's match, pretty much think how we know it's going to go with who's going to be the participants. But, man, right now, I don't think I could book a women's war games match right now. I really couldn't.
No, I couldn't either. I can't see any road, and I'm sure they're going to start building it tomorrow night on Raw. Sure. But I don't see any road to where the women fit in for a War Games match.
Yeah, outside of the Judgment Day and Rhea Ripley being gone, there really hasn't been a hot feud in the women's division enough to have a War Games match. So we'll see how they tackle that. It's going to be something to tune into on Raw. But something to to watch for, to keep an eye on, is how they handle the booking of this women's War Games match.
And we kind of glazed over the women's tag title match, but I feel like the women's division focus, other than Liv and Rhea, other than Tiffany and Nia, the women's focus has been on tag teams for the last few months.
Yeah, they're really trying to bolster, boost up this women's tag division. They want to justify having these women tag belts around, and that's fine. They got to have teams, and they got to have people to build rivalries with, that will work together to make these belts relevant, to make these belts want to be competed for. So I'm not knocking them in that aspect. I'm not knocking the women's roster when I say this. I just don't know if there's anything compelling enough right now for a War Games match. Like, everybody wants to see new bloodline versus old bloodline beat the crap out of each other in a cage.
Yep.
Who do you want to see beat the crap out of each other on the women's side is what I'm saying. Like, nothing is popping out at me.
And like I said, tomorrow night on Raw, we'll probably have some answers. And my hope is that whatever they do for the women's War Game match, it brings up some talent, some singles talent, not necessarily from like NXT, but it boosts some singles women's talent into that main title picture so that Liv has another rival.
Yep. That's what you got to be looking for here. That's what you got to be hoping for. That there's somebody they can work with Liv while Rhea is healing up.
Yeah, we wait and see. We will have to see what happens. Kevin Owens and Randy Orton were supposed to have a match, much like Seth Rollins and Bronson Reed. This started outside the ring on the entrance ramp, but these two did not get to have the bell ring for them on either side of a match. I'll just kind of gloss over the highlights here. Adam Pearce took an RKO. I'm pretty sure, if I'm remembering correctly, Nick Aldis took a stunner. I may be wrong, but definitely the end of this battle was Kevin Owens jumping off the balcony onto a prone Randy Orton on a couple of tables.
Yeah, that's what stands out to me here. Where's this going? Does this factor into the bloodline story somehow? Does KO join the new bloodline? As a middle finger up to Sammy. Has KO re-signed? Does anybody know if KO has re-signed with WWE or not? His contract is up sometime this month. So how they book KO is very interesting to me right now. If what's going to happen with him. If he stays around, I guess we'll know by the booking. If he's not here anymore, we'll know. But his contract's up this month, and he's very good friends with Nick and Matt Jackson, AEW over there, the Young Bucks. And I don't know if he wants to test those waters or not. Then again, I don't know if WWE wants to renew him or not. I would think they want to renew him as much as he's featured on television. And I mean, gosh, guys get new T-shirts every 2 to 3 months. So he's selling T-shirts. He's making money for them. So, yeah, not surprised this is how this went down. But you wonder if this is part of the bigger picture.
For sure. And I'm sure it is. I don't see this as a way to write off Kevin Owens. I think maybe it's just wishful thinking, but I'm hoping he re-signs because he is such a major player in that main event scene, in the whole scene with the bloodline, with Cody and everything going on. He is a major player there. But to quote Jim Ross, it's going to come down to cash or creative. Is he going to want more cash, or is he happy with his creative? That's the big question, and we'll have to wait and see as far as his contract goes.
Yeah, something to stay tuned for here in the coming weeks, for sure here.
Nick, the next match is probably the one that I was looking forward to the most, because I think the story has been really well told on the SmackDown side of things between particularly Andrade and Carmelo Hayes. But throwing LA Knight into the mix for that U.S. title, I think this has been a good story and probably the best story leading up to this pay-per-view as far as the matches we got. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I know you were really looking forward to this match of all on the pay-per-view, so I'm going to let you break it down. I want to hear what you thought about this match. I know this was the one you were really geeking out over heading into this. And I mean, rightly so. That's three guys with very distinct personas. They're all interesting to watch in the ring. So mixing these three guys together in this atmosphere for the U.S. title is something I was looking forward to too. But I want to hear what you have to say.
I mean, like I said, I love the build. I think the three of them being in the U.S. title picture makes for a great story being told. And I'll break it down. Carmelo and Andrade tied at 3 matches apiece in their best of 7 series. The 7th match, the Game 7, as they called it, being a no contest thanks to LA Knight being the special guest referee and basically wreaking havoc on both of them. But that's what brought this match about. And I'm anxious. I don't think this is over between the three of them. Obviously, LA Knight walks away with the title still. But I'm anxious to see where Melo and Andrade fall after this because I think that rivalry particularly is far from over.
Yeah, you wonder if of the best of 7 is going to be the next in line for LA Knight for a single match, not another triple threat type thing. Yeah, I know the Melo Andrade feud over on SmackDown's been getting rave reviews. Their matches have been good. They're tied at 3-3. When's the payoff going to be? War Games? Are they going to have a match at War Games? do they wait? Do they have it just on a regular SmackDown? That's something I'm interested in.
I would if I
and
would,
I don't know. I don't know where these guys go, because guess what? There's guys hurt on SmackDown right now. AJ Styles is gone for a year, so that the spot needs to be filled. I hope this best of 7 has shown that both these guys can work at a good clip, at a good pace. They all can tell a story. They're entertaining. They have contrasting styles in the ring. I hope there's something good for both of these guys after this best of 7.
I think this has given a spotlight to both of them in a great way, and definitely has propelled them into the picture where people are paying attention. I mean, okay, people were paying attention to Melo during his NXT days. He was the former NXT champion, former North American champion. He had eyes on him before coming up to the main roster. This has boosted both him and Andrade to the moon, if you will. And
easy there, Cameron Grimes.
Okay, sorry. Hey, I didn't say it like that. I didn't say it.
I know you didn't. I know you didn't.
I don't see their next match, Melo and Andrade's next match, being on Survivor Series War Games. I think there's a lot more plate spinning that one is going to fall on a SmackDown. That's just my opinion. Which, if you guys listening or watching, drop a comment. Let us know what you think. Does Andrade and Carmelo's rivalry warrant another pay-per-view match between the two of them, or is it going to fall on a SmackDown? And do they still, is the winner of that series still going to be in title contention for LA Knight's U.S. Championship? Let us know in the comments.
At least we're talking about the U.S. Championship, right? We don't sit here and complain about Logan Paul holding it and not defending it. Although I love Logan Paul, I love his matches. I love when he's in the feud. I love when he's involved. I hope we see him again soon, but at least the U.S. title now is getting defended on a regular basis.
Yes. I think both secondary titles, the U.S. and the Intercontinental, have been featured rather well over the last couple of months, and I'm happy to see it.
Right.
Now, of course, the main event tonight, or as we record this yesterday afternoon for us, is Cody and Gunther. And Nick, I'm going to let you take the lead on this one because I know you are the biggest Gunther fan in the podverse. We'll just put that out there. In the entirety of podcasting, Gunther is your boy. So I want to hear your thoughts on this match and this rivalry here.
I was excited for this match when, I thought maybe on that one Raw in Canada they would give the belt to Sammy over Gunther, but when Gunther won that match over Sammy and then Cody comes out and have their stare down, I like this match. There's history here, and there's even bigger history now. And this isn't the last time we're going to see these two, in my opinion. Cody's got the best of them the last 2 Royal Rumbles. Gunther has been eliminated by Cody at the last 2 Royal Rumbles. That's in the back of my mind as you go into this. They mentioned that as this match happens. And, I think this is a big match. I wonder if WWE was testing this main event here to use this main event later somewhere down the road.
Oh, I have no doubt. They were.
And I think within the next year, we're going to see this match happen. And then, Cody gets the win on Gunther. I thought the match was slow. I thought they worked a little slow. And that's not poo-pooing on either one of these guys. These guys are at the top of their game. I love both these guys. But the match had a slower pace, I think, than what we're used to. But the the moves that Gunther uses. When Cody goes for a disaster kick, he's there and is countering it. It's just simplistic. It's just smooth. And the way that Cody wins, Gunther is still book strong. Cody got a quick 1-2-3. It wasn't a very, it wasn't crossroads 1-2-3. It was using his surroundings and his leverage to get a quick 1-2-3. So I thought Gunther doesn't lose anything by losing this match, and Cody is just cementing his legacy even more as his title run goes on. That's my takes away from this match.
Yeah, and Cody kind of snuck in the back with that rollover win, going from the sleeper into a pin, which I love that finish. By the way, I've seen it.
I have no problem with it. I have no problem with it.
And it's not something you see very often. It's a good way to end a match, in my opinion, especially in a match like this where Gunther was matching Cody move for move for move.
Yes. I need to go back and watch this match again. Maybe I'll like it better the second time I watched it, but to me, it just was a little slower than I anticipated, and I thought it would be a little bit better than what it was.
I can understand that. Kind of how I felt about the whole pay-per-view, honestly. I wish it had been – I thought it would be better than it was.
You know what, though? We're kind of poo-pooing on it right now, but let's look at this run that WWE's been on. I mean, this is probably – I'm going to give it a C+. Is my letter grade for this show, and that's probably the lowest letter grade I've given a WWE PLE this year.
Yes.
So they've been on an incredible run. You're going to have a bad show from time to time. It's not a bad show. It's just not a great show. So
yeah.
I'm giving it a C+.
And when I was asked a couple times last night at the SCW show what I thought of Crown Jewel, I initially gave it a B-, but it falls solidly in that C+ range. Having had 24 hours to think about it and sit on it, it's not a bad show by any means. It's just not. They've had better shows throughout the year.
Correct. Fair to say. And we're not poo-pooing on it by any means, stretch the imagination. But no, I mean, I've seen worse shows. Trust me. And we'll get on that topic here in a few weeks as the year winds down here on the Card Subject to Change podcast about bad shows. But we'll discuss that later. That's neither here nor there. This isn't a bad show. It's just not a good show.
Right.
It's okay. It's a C+ show. Of course, if you're a Gunther, I'm going to go back and watch probably Cody Gunther again. But other than that, C+. Hopefully the build to War Games is better than the build to what Crown Jewel was. Yes,
I completely agree. Nick, any final thoughts on that note?
No, I don't. It's good to get. I like these daytime pay-per-views, but it didn't matter to me because I had other stuff going on. But I do like these overseas daytime shows when we're given the opportunity. If we want to watch live wrestling in the afternoon, it's there. So props to them. It's a big deal for them to go over to Saudi Arabia. I know a lot of people don't like it and the politics behind it. That's neither here nor there, but they're getting a big payday. And end of the day, this business is about making money. And they go over there, and that was the 12th pay-per-view from Saudi. And I remember the first time just how big of a deal it was to go over there and do it. And it just seems now like another show, doesn't it, bud? That's what it feels like to me. But you hope that they get back safely and get back to the next show. War Games is next month and
this month.
Yeah, it is. It's 27 days away. My bad as we record this here, but you're absolutely right. So looking forward to it. And they're bound to have a less than stellar show, and this was probably the one, in my opinion. So
Yeah.
But yeah, I still found parts of it I enjoyed. So make sure you find what you enjoy in wrestling. Don't go out there and kill somebody else's enjoyment. Find something you enjoy and seek that out. Correct?
Correct. Support pro
Okay.
wrestling. Don't support tribalism.
No,
All wrestling matters.
So yeah, that's all I got for this episode. I know, coming up midweek from us will be the kick out. Make sure you find that on Wednesday at 6 p.m. Central Time. That usually is on the air. So we that's kind of our after hours show that we like to put out midweek. Kind of let you behind the curtain, a little more discussion based show. So find us there if you're not already tuning in. Please do so. Like, follow, subscribe. That's the kick out, the final word on wrestling. So that'll come at you midweek. That's all I got for this show, partner.
Yeah, and I'll play off of that a little bit. Keep an eye on socials this week. We may have a surprise for you right around midweek this week as well. I'm not going to spoil anything, but we're still kind of in talks. But keep your eyes on socials. We may have something pretty big come midweek as well as the kick out.
Sounds good.
That is going to put a wrap on this edition of Card Subject to Change, the podcast by the fans for the fans. We are powered by Lopez Pizza, built by Durham Remodeling, colored by Ryan Allison Tattoo, and of course, protected by Jared Zook of Country Financial. For my tag team champion partner, Never Wrong, Nick Bull, I am the Wizard CZ, and we will see you next time on Card Subject to Change.
Bye-bye.
This has been a For Frequency's Sake Podcast Network production. For more great content, subscribe to For Frequency's Sake on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter.